Welcome everyone to Tactics for Life. I wanted to do a quick video on the Mantis X3, which is a dry fire system that I recently purchased. Someone had asked me one time what I do in between sort of competitions and instruction, and I told them that I would show them what the Mantis system is all about. This is a dry fire system that you can use on any semi-automatic pistol with a Picatinny rail. So let's start out with that. So what is the Mantis system? It's a dry fire system with a pressure sensor. You can see that on my pistol here. I've got my competition pistol, a Walther PDP, with a Picatinny rail. And it really comes with just this pressure sensor. It's very small. It's about the size of my thumb. And what you do is you mount this pressure sensor on your Picatinny rail. There's a little tab here that you push down to slide it back and forth and just mount it until it clicks into place. It's very easy to install. You'll notice the front, because the front will have the tab and the back has the USB charging cable. And so before you start using this, go ahead and charge it for a couple hours. So what is the Mantis system? It's a pressure sensor that mounts on your Picatinny rail. And before I start, just make sure on the Mantis website, I believe it's mantis.com, verify that your pistol is compatible with this pressure sensor, because you may have a Picatinny rail that's too small or too short, and so it may not mount properly. If it doesn't, then you'll have to get an adapter from Mantis. So I called them to make sure my Walther PDP, my competition pistol, was on that list so I can make sure that it would work. So verify that before you go out and purchase this device. So I wanted to kind of show you what this is all about. It's like I mentioned, it's a pressure sensor. You first charge it for a couple of hours. It's been charging now, and then you have to sync it with the software, which you download through the Apple Store. Once you sync it, then I can show you how it works. So we're going to start with the first, and first things first, there's a little button here at the bottom of the sensor, which you need to press, and then once you do that, it blinks green, I believe, for a little bit, and that tells you that it's powered up, and now you have to sync it with the software. So if you look at the software here, I'll kind of zoom in a little bit, but I've already downloaded from the Apple stores. It says connect, so you go ahead and connect it. And it's going to sync up with this pressure sensor, and there you go, it's connected. So just a little bit of how it works and what's going to happen is, so this is a dry fire practice. I've already unloaded my pistol. That's the first rule before we do anything. So before we start, got to make sure your gun's safe and you don't have any ammo in the same room. So you can see I don't have any magazines. My gun is unloaded. I've checked it, chamber is empty, and fingers off the trigger, so it's completely empty. I've verified it. Make sure you do that before you start any demonstrations. So the Mantis is already hooked up. It's lit green. I've connected it to the software I downloaded through the Apple Store. So this is how it's going to work. It's a pressure sensor that's going to sense me moving my pistol or my hand motion before the shot breaks, during the shot, and after the shot. And so what it's going to do is going to tell me whether I'm kneeling the gun, whether I have too much trigger finger and it shooting low and left or high or low. It's kind of diagnose what I'm doing before, during the trigger pull, after trigger press, so it tells me what I'm doing and how to correct it. There's some pictures and videos that tell you, once they diagnose it, what to do and how you can improve that trigger press and go from there. They'll also give you a score, and based on the score, you can look at it and diagnose it, and they'll give you some recommendations how to improve it. So let's get started. So like I said, I've already mounted the sensor on my pistol. I'm going to go ahead and do a dry fire practice. So just for me personally, I have my empty mag. I've got a snap cap here, which is a plastic projectile, so you can see that it's not real ammo. I do this because even though a lot of manufacturers' pistols say that it's firing to dry fire, just out of conservatism, I don't want to damage my firing pin, so I want to go ahead and put this snap cap on here. So, okay, I'm going to load this. Okay, and just close my slide. And there you go. So now I've got a snap cap in here, plastic projectile. It's not real ammo. I'm going to go ahead and just aim at an arbitrary point on the wall. Then we'll kind of see what kind of score I get, and we can diagnose it. So first things first, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to go, there's a lot on this menu. It goes from open training, shot timer training. So if you want to shoot for time, part time, there's other things like time benchmark, endurance, so all kinds of training programs. I'll only go just through a few of them, and then we'll extend it to the other video. So let's say we just do open training, which is, basically you start with the open training. anything goes. It's warning you here, you can't see it, but it's asking you to make sure your gun is completely empty, that you don't have any live ammunition. So you say, okay, yes, we did that, we checked our gun for safety. And it's asking you to start the drill. So I've already put the parameters in. It asks you a bunch of questions when you first set up. Are you doing dry fire or live fire? You say dry fire. Are you right-handed or left-handed? I'm right-handed. Is the sensor in the forward position, which it is in my case. The sensor is forward and the back is the USB, so it's a forward position. So you enter those parameters in and then you hit start. Okay, so you can kind of see this kind of round circle here. So I'm gonna take a dry fire shot, and after every shot, it's gonna give me a score. And then depending on what the score is, it's gonna diagnose that score. It's gonna tell me how to improve that shot. So let's try that and we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna arbitrarily just take maybe 5 shots at first, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna arbitrarily just shoot a target, and we'll see if this registers there against the target here. Here we go. So I got a score of 95.8, it's the first one. So if you notice, this is only 1 shot at a time, so I had to manually rack my slide manually back in order to reset the trigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that without hopefully emptying the dummy round. All right, so I'm gonna do it again. Got a score of 97.4 on the second one. Again, I'm gonna rack my slide to reset my trigger and then do the third shot. Got a score of 90.6. Do 2 more. .4 and 96.9. All right, so I just did 5. Obviously, I can do more shots than that. So I'm going to stop it just to see what it says. So I have an average score of 94, which is good. I was trying to shoot for anything above 90, but it's not so much the score that you need to learn from it. Is if you notice the red spots here, it's telling me if I had shot live fire that I'm shooting either low or a little bit to the upper right. So let's say if I was doing live fire, I would want to correct that. So I'm going to press one of these buttons here. It's going to tell me how to correct it. So even though 94 is a very good score, really doesn't mean much to me right now, other than it's great to have on paper, but it's telling me there's some areas that I can improve on my trigger press or my action I just did there. So let's take a look at what it says. So here's an example, and let's say it says pushing forward. So it's saying that it detected me pushing my pistol forward, which says pushing forward means that the grip moved the firearm, my grip, forward during the trigger press. This is caused by anticipation or recoil. So I'm anticipating the recoil, as you can see, and my grip's tightening and pushing forward to stop the recoil. So there's too much pushing forward, and that's what's causing that sort of anticipation or recoil forward grip. What do you see this guy here doing it here? So that's, and that may be the case. It's something that I don't see because I don't feel it, and it's telling me to correct this. Maintain the firearm in the same place. Do not lean forward as you press the trigger. Do not try to counteract the recoil by pushing the gun. So it's basically telling me I'm pushing the gun forward to stop the recoil. All right. Other areas is it's also saying that I am shooting upper right. So I'm going to see what that means. I'm pressing right. So now it's telling me I'm healing. So what does healing mean? So if you look at the video here, healing means the heel of the support hand is pushing the gun up and the firearm pivots around the shoulder joint of the dominant arm, which ultimately makes the weapon move up and towards the dominant side. So as you can see here, it's me pushing against my support hand. I'm pushing it up in the upper right-hand quadrant. To correct the issue, keep your dominant arm and shoulder in place to prevent any movement. Use the support hand to pull the firearm directly back toward your primary shoulder and down, creating isometric tension in your arms to control recoil. So basically, I need more support on my support hand to prevent it from moving the upper right-hand corner. So those are the 2 things that it detected in my shot. Again, This is without recoil, so remember that. You're not really, there isn't real live fire here, but I did grip it with enough tension as if I had live fire, so that's one thing I would recommend. Even though you don't have real ammo in here, grip your pistol as if you would with live ammo, so you can get the proper grip tension, even though this is a dry fire exercise. So you can see, it's telling me, this is what it's detecting. It's detecting me moving the gun at certain locations, and it's telling me after the shot breaks, here are the things that I need to do to improve on it. All right, so let's see what we got with us, what this thing has. So it gives me a score of an average of 94 for 5 shots. If you go to the next spot, it gives you a bunch of graphs. I won't go into that yet because I haven't deciphered what all this means, but it kind of just graphs out the motion of your hand as you go through the shot. And then this is interesting here. This is color coded. So red, yellow, and red are different spots of before you fire the gun. I think one means before, one means after, and one means, and the X is right in the center, which is when the shot breaks. So it's basically tracking the movement of my pistol before the shot breaks, at the shot, and after the shot break, which is very interesting because if you notice, I'm gripping the gun pretty hard, and I don't even feel it. I don't even see it. So that tells you that even if you have a firm grip on it, your gun's wobbling somewhere. You just can't see to the naked eye. So I think this is a very useful tool to kind of look at, to kind of see what you're doing. So it's wobbling a little bit, then eventually it gets on target, and my shot's breaking, and that's where that X is over here. And then if you hit this little kind of play button, it's kind of tell you sort of what's happening as you are breaking the shot. So if I hit it, it's telling me here's my gun wobbling, right, before the shot, and I'm kind of near the center, right, and the shot breaks, and then it stops right in the center. So that's kind of an interesting thing. It's in real time telling you what your pistol's doing, even though you can't see it, what your grip is doing when the shot breaks. So overall, I thought this tool was very, very useful, primarily because, it's a dry fire system. It's better than using live ammo, so less expensive, but it's really good for kind of getting your mechanics down. One thing that I caution you, or not caution you, but remind you as you're doing this is dry fire and there's no felt recoil on here. So you're not going to feel the recoil on this as if you had live fire ammo. So it's very important that you're gripping the pistol with a lot of tension, or the same tension or same grip tension as you would with live fire. So don't just casually grip it. Have good stance, good grip, good sight picture, all the things you would normally do as if you're out in the field shooting a shot. So other than that, there's some things that that you need to know about. I'll talk in the next video when I go out live in the field. But like I mentioned, you can only do one shot at a time. Because this is not live fire, I have to manually rack my slide back in order to reset the trigger. So you got to remember, you got to do that. But there's a setting on here that you have to reset, because when I did that, the first time I did this, it actually registered me racking the slide back. And so you have to actually put a delay in the program to say that, after 5 seconds, not to recognize any movement of the gun as I'm racking back the slide. Otherwise, you'll get a sort of a false positive. So there's that setting that you have to set. There's also a minimum score you can set, like if you get a minimum score of anything above 10, not to register it. And that's because you don't want the program to register you racking the slide back and manually resetting the trigger. So I would say overall, this is a really good, I just purchased this not too long ago. I haven't used it very much. I usually do dry fire myself without the program, but I'm really happy with it, at least from what it's intended to do, which is helping you with the mechanics of your pistol grip, your trigger press, which is, as you know, in my basic class, probably the two most important, in my opinion, for marksmanship. So a very good system. So my next video is going to be out in the field here, probably in the next few days. I'm going to be out there trying this thing out under live fire. So this system can be used under dry fire, which is what we're doing now, but it also can be used for live fire. So when we do live fire, same thing. I'm going to have my Mantis sensor mounted on my Picatinny rail. I'm going to point at my target. I'm going to have live ammo. I'm going to shoot. It's going to register a score on the software, and it's going to tell me, hey, here are the things that we see that you're doing with the movement of your pistol before, during the shot, after the shot, and give me a score. So I want to give you that ensuing video and see what you think. But if you liked it, please press subscribe and like and give me your comments. I'm going to try this out in the field here, upcoming with an ensuing video. Probably have a more detailed video on how to set this up, and then hopefully that's helpful. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment or let me know if you like this video. So all in all, I thought the Mantis X was a really good program. I think there's one that's above this, the model is called the X10 Elite, which has a different type of sensor. It mounts both on the Picatinny rail. It also mounts at the bottom of your magazine. So if you're, like me, a competition shooter and you want to kind of register your draw speed, it mounts at the bottom of your magazine, which is the X10. And then as you draw from your holster, it's going to register how long it takes you to take from your holster to your sight picture and to the shot. So that's the X10 model, which is the next step up from this model. But I think the cost was fairly reasonable. It was $170 plus tax or so, fairly reasonable for what it's intended to do. So I thought I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really good program. It seems to be very accurate, and give it a try. So tell me what you think, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.